change is inevitable, except from vending machines. That's what William Gallagher, former CEO of Allied Bancorp, once said. And I think as you look through the program of this great conference, you can't help but be struck by the amount of change that our industry and our discipline is facing today. What we want to do today is we want to talk to you about one area of that change, which is with respect to mobile research. But you know, with all the things that are going on with social media research, and we're talking about mobile research and communities and different types of modeling and all these sorts of things, you know, it can at points be a little bit overwhelming. But I think one of the things that's really important is that fundamentally, regardless of how we go about collecting or analyzing data, consumer insights truly are the fuel of our industry. That's what we exist for. That's what we try to help our clients understand at a deeper level. So regardless of how we go about it, I think it's important for us to always remember that despite all this change, you know, that's what we're in business to do. This is what we're trying to do, and this is what we're trying to work with our clients to achieve. Now, obviously, as I think Kristen mentioned, probably almost all of you have a smartphone, and the amount of consumers, amount of adults in the United States is actually 35% have smartphones now. But you know, I think it's more this idea of smartphones being more than popular. It's more than about sales figures. It's really about a cultural revolution. It's about the ways in which we interact with and engage with technology and with information in a completely different way. And really, this is more than just a cool gadget. This is really part of our evolution as a species, I think. So I think it's really important to just kind of put this sort of technology in its place. Now, as mobile research becomes more and more widespread, it's a very logical and important question to ask is, you know, how does the data stand up? Is it valid? Is it comparable? How is it comparable against what we consider our current you know, benchmark, which is online research? So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some research that we did in that space, and we'll talk in greater detail about what we did and what we found. But I think it's important for us to think about that mobile research is I believe the woman from MTV said, it's a no-brainer. But now the focus of the conversation shifts from should we do it to how do we do it well? And that's what we want to talk to you about today. So that's kind of where we're going to be going with this. Now, before we go forward, you know, the word mobile research is talked about a lot. But we want to talk about 3 specific buckets, just so you kind of keep it in your mind. That, you know, when we're talking about mobile research, we're talking about 3 things, like mobile only, right? Complete the thing from your smart device. Multimodal, so a part of it can be online with a smartphone or a mobile device, and part of it can be done online. And then finally, app-based, so leveraging the capabilities of an app in order to, again, glean insights from consumers. Now, there are 4 things that we see as the promise of mobile research. So if you're thinking about, well, why should I care? I think the first is increased responsiveness. So if a person can participate from their pocket, from the devices in their pocket, they're going to be more responsive. We found that certainly to be true. Deeper engagement. So again, as a thought comes to a person's mind, that being in the moment is a way for that more spontaneous and real, authentic interaction to come from a consumer. This vivid real-time feedback, the integration of multimedia, things like videos and photos, and really capturing in the moment what is going on in a person's life. This is a level of immediacy that we've not had before as an industry, and we think this is very important. And finally, this, you know, we believe one of the implications of mobile technology and mobile research is that it reduces reflectivism. So we know that we kind of, as a discipline, really kind of very much focus on the rational. And we feel that mobile technology is a way for us to get away from being purely rational to getting this really in-the-moment thinking, not over-rationalizing, but really spontaneously getting what people think as they're in the moment, where they are, and we feel that that's very important. Now, if any of you have gone to any conferences, seen a lot of work in the area of mobile research, there's really interesting kind of 2 camps here in the industry. We've got the traditionalists, okay? So we've got an important camp within our discipline who are very much rooted in the science of marketing research and the importance of validity and representativeness and all those sorts of things. On the other hand, you'll see a lot of work in the mobile space from technologists. So people who are not in the research space, but who've developed the technology and are trying to figure out how to use it from a research perspective. We feel like the ultimate result of that is the blending of these two is, I think, very, very important. And Michael Aliato, who is a colleague and friend of mine at Gongos Research, led the initiative that we're going to be talking about today. I think the reason I want to show this is to give him his props, because he did a great job leading this initiative, but also because he does a great job of coming from that very academic background and fusing the idea of technological vision and what this could mean. So we really feel like that's really the ultimate answer here. Now, one of the things that you'll also find that historically, mobile research has been founded on some very key premises. One is higher incentives. So if you're going to do mobile research, you've got to pay people more. Okay, that's sort of a general truism. The other one is probably get lower response rates. You really need to have short surveys. That's the third one. 5, 6 questions max. Don't think about using scales. Don't think about, for God's sake, don't ask open ends, and don't even think about using advanced quant. Which really, in the historical, traditional sense of what mobile research is, really puts it as a very small niche, okay? What we're going to be talking about today and the results of this research, we believe, opens up the possibilities of what smartphone research can be and how it can be used. And again, that's what we're going to be talking about. But very importantly, as our discipline evolves with regard to mobile technology, it's really a journey. It's not a destination. And so what I want to do is I want to turn things over to Julie Beth, who's going to talk about Best Buy's journey with respect to mobile and what that has meant.
Thanks, Greg. So actually, great segue. I was in a meeting with one of our agency partners, and he made this quote, which has stuck with me, and he said that expertise works best when the history and the future are very similar. And if you think about our world as researchers, our quantitative methods and our qualitative methods, we may be really experts in all of those, but as we find these new technologies and opportunities, that sort of becomes the enemy of evolution. So I'll talk about the intersection of where Best Buy has tried to bring some expertise and some evolution together. So we've been using smartphones and mobile devices for a while, but in a variety of ways. The first way that we introduced this was something called Twelp Force. So it's a mashup of tweeting and helping. And we asked our blue shirts and our associates, our Geek Squad agents, if they'd like to sign up to be part of our Twelp Force. And basically what that meant was that customers and consumers could tweet questions to them, and they would advise, just based on their knowledge and expertise, right? So you could ask, what's your opinion of this product? Or, hey, I'm trying to connect these devices. Can someone out there tell me which plug goes where? It could be that simple. It could be, what do you see returned the most in DVD players? So we had thousands of our associates signing up to just become part of this engaged communication force, if you will, to help people understand technology. And that was one of our earliest efforts. Some of you may have seen the announcement this morning that Best Buy is closing all 11 of our United Kingdom big box stores, but along with that came the announcement that we're buying out our Carphone warehouse partners in Europe, and they're in 9 countries. And we learned a lot from them, and one of the things that they were very effective with was getting feedback through mobile devices as they would sell them. So the Carphone warehouse sells, cellular phones and portable devices like that. So what we copied and brought to the US from them was this idea that you could walk into a Best Buy mobile store, buy your cellular device, smartphone or whatever, walk out after having made that transaction, and very shortly thereafter receive a text message with a question about your experience. So we picked off their platform and built it here, and we basically could get customer satisfaction experience, associate level performance feedback, and text messages back from them in very short time, very close to the time of the purchase. We started using smartphones in some of our qualitative work as well. So when we would be doing some qualitative work around the experience of technology in your life, we would actually invite our participants to send us a photo of how they use technology, or send us a short video of them engaging with their family to have movie night or something like that, and really try to understand how they're using technology in their lives. And so that became part of the inputs to that. I'm going to go back one. It doesn't want to go to number 4, but I'll tell you, there we go, QR codes. So we're actually doing a pilot. We had a question. We said, you know what, there are a lot of people who come into our stores but don't buy something. We don't have a way of knowing that they were there. So what could we do to just get some feedback in the moment from people as they're engaging with our big boxes? So we're doing a pilot where we've got these QR codes here throughout stores in different departments, by the exits, And so people can come through and sort of do that scan, thumbs up or thumbs down, and we say, hey, how was your experience? And it gives us the ability to say, hey, you know what, the computing department had a great day. Something's going on in appliances, and allows the store to go back and go, were we understaffed? You know, do we not have good, knowledgeable associates there? It also gives us a way to hear from people who don't purchase and have another means by which to give us feedback, and it can be fun. So we don't just say, you know, get the scan and put it in a database. We give them something back. So it's like a smiley face would pop up and say, great, glad you had a good experience. Or it might say, hey, you're the 14th person today to say it was a bad day, sorry about that. You know, so you can kind of make it interactive and fun. So following that, we, as experts, right, in the research field, started to say, well, what could we do with those devices to go deeper into consumer experience or consumer research? And so that's where we began to partner with Gongos and say, well, what's possible in terms of doing research with a smartphone? And as we got into that, we of course had to do our reality check, right, to understand what are some of the implications that we need to consider as we go down this path. And you know, there are a lot of different things you could do, but we wanted to make sure, number one, that's actually number two. We wanted to make sure, number one, that there was a level of technical comfort with this idea, right? So not only for us as researchers, you know, how do we gather the data, convert texting through text analytics into meaningful sentiment? How do we build dashboards that are meaningful, that take that data and tell a story to our Best Buy mobile standalone stores? You know, how do we actually do that, and how do our end users feel about this technology? So, you know, you have to sort of do a little bit of a readiness assessment on both sides. This is the piece I'd like to pause really for a moment on. In Best Buy, we have what we call our Consumer Insights Unit. And the Consumer Insights Unit is made up of 3 or 4 big sort of buckets of research. One is our competitive lens. One is our analytics team, so going deep into our database. One is our research team. And then the other is our team that really pulls in the voice of the employees, which they send in sort of this ongoing stream of information. What are consumers saying, seeing, asking for, feeling, experiencing? And any time we deliver insights, what we really try to do is bring that holistic story together and not just provide a survey-based fact or an analytic-based fact. So with the smartphone and mobile research, we felt it was really important that we triangulate that insight with other things that we were seeing. It gives it a lot more credibility, and certainly if you're seeing totally disparate bits of information, I think it says, okay, go back and see why you're having very different information. So I wouldn't do this in a vacuum. I would really think about how to tie this to other research that you may be doing, both qualitative and quantitative, depending on how you're using your mobile research. Novelty factor. So here's a fun fact. About 3 years ago, we were leading the retail-based consumer or customer satisfaction research. We were getting about 200,000 people a month who would provide feedback to us just from answering, you know, going to the web, and you know, there's a receipt with an invitation like just about everybody has. Those individuals have now dwindled to about 100,000. We have other venues too, but that's going away. And we thought, oh, maybe this is the great new thing. But we were afraid that it might just be the novelty factor, right? Oh, I got a smartphone invite. That's cool. I'm going to do it once and never again. And what I think you'll hear from Greg and what we've seen is that it's not just a shiny new object. It actually is a platform that is growing and that continues to give us more opportunity rather than less. And then Greg's going to talk about the fact that, in fact, it is quality data. And that was very important to us to make sure that we weren't just gathering a bunch of random insights from like 3-year-olds who were playing with their mom's phone in the car and like hitting random buttons. So the data had some validity to it, and that was very important to us as well. So with that, I'm going to have Greg talk about the approach of the study itself.
Thank you, Julie Beth. So when we undertook this initiative, one of the first things we did a very extensive search of academic and otherwise published reports. Now, this was a project that we undertook in January of this year. So when we did that desk research, one of the things we found was there was nothing done about smartphones that was published at this point, and that the amount of research that was done on mobile research on research in general was very, very, very limited. We found 1 or 2 studies that had been completed. So we felt like initially, you know what, this has really got some legs because it's really a white space in terms of the knowledge within the industry. So what we did is we created a survey that we fielded the identical survey both online and from a mobile device. We had 1,000 consumers, approximately 500 completed online, 500 completed via their smartphone. And what I want to do is talk to you a little about, as we designed this survey, the different dimensions that we measured, which we're not going to talk about all of them today because I don't want to bore you with the gory details. But I do want to show you some of the things that we did take a look at. So in the red here or the orange, we took a look at different scale types. So we wanted to figure out from a smartphone device, what kind of scale could we use, right? At what point are we really optimizing the space that we have in that interface? So we took a look at that. We did some specific things with testing in-store displays, again, to kind of measure the, being in the moment in the store. We did a max diff exercise, again, to kind of push to see what we could do from an analytical perspective. But also we did some things, we measured response rates, we tested three different levels of incidence levels to see whether incidence levels actually did have an impact on response rates, which they didn't. We tested